Welcome guys! We have 6 steps to accomplish, and in the first step we need to configure OSPF for the topology above, and we need to redistribute the static routes on router 1. Where is router 1? This guy has external static routes, so we need to redistribute them into OSPF as type E1. Okay. Then in the second, OSPF adjacency must not be established if there is no OSPF router, which means we are gonna configure passive interface in somewhere. In the third, routers in area 0 must be configured with MD5. Routers in area 23 must be configured with clear text authentication, and our key is gonna be Cisco. Cool. Then routers in area 45 should not receive the external routes out of the OSPF domain. What is it? 5. Routers in area 23 must not receive type 3, 4, and 5 LSAs. These routers must reach the external network via default route, which has a cost of 100. Cool. And last, all routers should ping each other. Okay, how are we gonna accomplish these steps? Let's start with the first one. I'm gonna configure OSPF for each other, and the first thing I'm gonna do will be defining the router ID. Then I'm gonna advertise the networks. Then I'm gonna configure redistribution on router 1, 2 as well to provide connection. Okay, the redistributed route will be E1. I'm gonna take care about it. Alright, let's go with the router 2. Show IP interface brief. We have some networks. Where is router 2 belonging to? Router 2 is this guy. Alright. Then 100 belongs to area 0, and the other guys belong to area 2 and 3. Alright. Router OSPF 1. Router ID. Then network 0000255 and boop, area 0. Then network 10.1000255 belongs to area this. Okay. Router 4. Router OSPF 1, do show IP interface brief. Router ID 4444. Then let's go. Network 10 belongs to area 0. Network 0.0.0.255 belongs to area 45. Okay. On router 1, let's go ahead. Router OSPF 1 again. Then the thing I'm gonna configure is the router ID first. Then let's advertise the network 10.1.0.0.0.255 area 0. And please keep in mind that we need to configure one more thing in this guy, which is redistributing. Redistribute static subnets metric. Actual question is not talking about metric, but I'm gonna give 50. And metric type of they're gonna be E1. Okay. Cool, router 6. Show IP interface brief. Int brief. Router OSPF 1. 255 belongs to area 0, then 0000255 is in this area. Woo! I'm feeling tired, guys. Please help me. I forgot the router ID statement on the previous router, I think. Router ID 6666 and clear IP OSPF proc. Yes. Okay. Show IP interface brief. Alright, network 45. Area 45. It takes really long to configure all of these, guys. We have some loopbacks in here. I'm gonna also advertise these guys too. Router OSPF 1 network 10 10. Oh, router ID. Router ID 3333 network 10 10 area 2 and 3 and network will belong to area 2 and 3 1 2 and 3. Okay. Show IP interface brief and router OSPF 1. Router ID 7777 network 0000255 and the other guy. Alright, the last one, router OSPF 1, router ID 8888. Did I configure? Yes. Do show IP int brief and network 10000255 in area. This guy. What is it going on? Oh, I forgot this. Okay, pretty cool. The first step must be finished, I think. Let's check what's going on in our network via looking at the topology. Configure OSPF for the topology above. Accomplished. Redistribute the static routes on router 1 as type E1. Accomplished. Then nothing. Alright. This guy finished. Let's go ahead with the second step. OSPF adjacency must not be established if there is no OSPF router. Okay. It's saying me that if there is an OSPF router which has an interface connected not to a router, configure a passive interface there. It is saying me that. Okay, to configure a passive interface, for example, where we can configure in here, let's take a look. Alright, I'm gonna do a different thing for this situation, and I'm gonna learn you another thing also, but I'm gonna just configure it on one router. I don't want to lose time with the passive interface commands. I'm just gonna choose one router and I'm gonna configure the passive interface in a different style. Okay, let's go with the router, maybe router 5 looks like a good choice. Okay, router OSPF 1, and I'm configuring passing interface default, which activates passive interface on all interfaces. Okay, as soon as I configure it, my OSPF adjacency is down, as you can see, because I'm not sending hello packets from the Fast Ethernet 1.1, which has a configured IP. The thing I'm gonna do in here is just activate this guy by using no passive interface fast 1.1 command. Okay? You will do it on each router. You can check this configuration. You can make this configuration on each router, but I'm not gonna lose time by doing this. I just wanted to show you how to configure it. Okay, then in the third step, it's saying that routers in area 0, these guys 1, 2, 6 and 4 must be configured with MD5. Alright, this area will be MD5 authenticated, and this area will be clear text authenticated. Clear text. Alright, I need to again configure all these steps on 4 routers in area 0, but I'm just gonna configure it for router 1 perhaps. Okay, you'll make the same configuration for 2, 6 and 4 as well. You need to do it. Okay, and for area 2 and 3, I'm gonna configure the router 3 to show you how we can configure that. The configuration will be the same for the other routers, so I don't want to lose time again, but I'm just gonna show you how we configure it. Okay, let's start with MD5 configuration on, for example, router 1. Okay, router 1, where are you? You're here. In router 1, interface 00, which is the interface in the area 0, I'm gonna configure IP OSPF authentication, which has a type of message digest. Then I'm typing IP OSPF message digest key 1 MD5, and our key gonna be Cisco. Alright, this is how we configure the MD5 authentication for the router in area 0. As I told you, you need to configure the same configuration for the router 6, router 2 and router 4. As you can see that neighbors are down right now. Okay, because we have a key, we are using authentication, message digest authentication right now. Okay, let's go to this guy now. In this guy, I'm gonna configure a clear text authentication. Router 2, show IP int brief. I'm using this interface for this area. I'm typing this time just IP OSPF authentication. to activate the clear text. Then I'm using OSPF authentication key and just Cisco this time. Okay, pretty cool. And I accomplished the third step as well. Where are you, man? Okay, accomplished. But I want to show you something else. So I'm going to configure the... Okay, I'm going to make a quick configuration for the other guys too. For example, where is router 3? Router 3. OSPF authentication key Cisco. The neighborship between 3 and 2 should come back, yes. Then I'm gonna configure on 6.2 and 4.2. I told you that I don't want to lose time, but I want to show you something on the next step, so I'm gonna configure it. I'm sorry. So OSPF authentication and message digest key MD5. All right, let's go to 4. Show IP int brief fast00 authentication message digest OSPF message digest key 1 MD5 Cisco. So I'm gonna copy this guy and let's go to 6 fast00 OSPF authentication message digest and paste this. And lastly, we need to go to router 2, I think. On router 2, fast00 OSPF authentication and message digest OSPF message digest key 1 MD5 Cisco. All right. Now we finished. Okay. Let's go to fourth step. It's saying me that routers in area 45. Where are you, area 45? These guys, router 4 and router 5, should not receive the external routes out of OSPF domain. And these routes are the routes which are being redistributed by router 1, right? I don't want to see this guy in this area. So if I don't want to see an external route in an area, I need to configure the area as stop, right? I'm going to configure stop for area 45 on router 4 and router 5. Router 4, router OSPF 1 and area 45 stop. As soon as I type it, my edges, my neighbor is down because stop is a flag when we configure the adjacency in OSPF. Then let's go to router 5. Router OSPF 1 and area 45 stop, which makes my neighborship full again with the router 5. Alright, I configure here as stop. So I need to take a look via show IP route. Okay, as you can see that I'm receiving some routes from the inter areas. I'm receiving inter-area routes. And I'm also receiving a default route. Okay, this default route I'm receiving is because of this area is a stub area. I'm not receiving any external routes right now. So what I'm configuring is actually by stub is a default route. I'm configuring a default route and I'm sending anything else other than this networks to this IP address. As you know that's the only single output point already. Okay. 4 is okay to take. Then router is in area 23 this time. Where are you guys? These guys. Alright. Here is gonna be totally stubby. Because I don't want to receive type 3, type 4 and type 5 LSA. Okay, let's go to router 2 and I'm gonna configure router 3 first actually. Router 3, router OSPF 1 and area stub, and on ABR, which is router 2, I need to configure area 4 stub no summary this time, which makes this area a totally stub area. On this router, I configured a stub no summary. Please pay attention that I'm configuring stub on router 3 and I'm configuring stub no summary on the ABR. Alright, let's go and take a look. Show IP route, man. Okay. What I'm seeing from the router 3's point of view is just a default route. I don't see any interior routes as well. I don't see any external routes. I don't see anything. What I'm seeing is just a single output point, which is this IP address. Okay? And that's it. We don't need to do anything more, and I configured here as the total stubby area. Alright, then all routers must ping together. Let's go and take a look to the figure. Are you seeing something different? I'm seeing. What I'm seeing in here is that we need a virtual area configuration. To configure a virtual area, we need to make a virtual link between some routers. So let's define the virtual area. I'm sorry, where we need to define the virtual link. Okay, all areas should be directly connected to area 0, which is backbone. But I can see that 78 is not directly connected to the backbone area, as you can see that. So what I need to configure is just the virtual link between router 6 and router 7. Alright, I'm gonna configure a virtual link to reach router 8's routes. Okay, let's go to router 6. Virtual link and the router ID of the neighbor. So I need to configure it on this guy also. Ooh, what's going on? 6666. Here is the configuration of the virtual link and enter. And I accomplished this step too. Now all my routers should ping each other because I have correctly configured the OSPF for my network. Okay guys, that was a really cool session. I think that you learned a lot, and it takes almost a half hour to configure all of these steps, but that was a really cool session, as I told you. And please keep in mind that you should study, and you should also make your own labs. You should configure something like that, and you need to study on that one too. Okay guys, this session has finished too, and thanks for viewing.